Hi folks, Lou here, and I'm going to talk about something that amounts to both being jaded and to power creep to the max. And this is true generally, but also true in games. I saw a comment once where somebody said that we simply refuse to be awed. He was talking about gamers, I think, or he might have been talking about fiction readers. It applies to many things. And I, of course, applied it to games. So in games, you tend to find that games are about threats to the world. The world is going to be destroyed. In comic books, often the world is going to be destroyed. In novels, perhaps more often than is good, the world is going to be destroyed. And of course, the practical comment about that is if the world is destroyed very many, or is threatened with being destroyed very many times, it's going to happen. The world will be destroyed. Now, how is that manifested in, say, Dungeons and Dragons? Third edition Dungeons and Dragons was always about the one-man army uh, who could do anything, the Swiss Army knife sort of thing. And how is that related to world threatening? Well, it's because you're very powerful and you feel like you can do anything. And the game encourages that and has to because it specified 4 characters in an adventuring party. 4 characters does not allow for much cooperation between characters. You're all busy all the time in a big fight. And so it was the least cooperative of all the versions of Dungeons and Dragons. 4th edition, to move on to the next one, was very cooperative because a lot of the powers that the characters had helped other characters as much or perhaps more than it helped the person doing the power. Another aspect of 4th edition that I'll mention is they turned it into just a straight war game, a tactical exercise. They took all the strategic stuff beyond the adventure out of it. And that was a big mistake. I once read that it was done because they wanted to turn 4th edition into a big video game series. And what video games are good at is conducting combat. And so they made the game, tabletop game, something that could easily be turned into a video game. I don't know whether that's true or not. I've observed about many of the newer adventure modules that they are about saving the world. It just seems to be very common. Now, we can contrast that with, say, fiction in the 1930s, when it was sufficient for somebody to be fighting Dr. Fu Manchu, where the shadow and the spirit were not saving the world usually. They were just doing away with some evil gang or evil individual. That's not good enough nowadays. We've got to be saving the world, or it's just not important enough. And that comes partly from movies, which do that a lot. And of course, I think of tentpole movies. Indiana Jones doesn't quite save the world, but it's getting there. Of course, the comic book movies very much about saving the world many times. One of the things that people liked about the Ant-Man and the Wasp first 2 movies was that they weren't saving the world, but the 3rd movie was quite different. Because it's about saving the world, especially in adventure modules that you might buy or get for free, as the case may be, I think that they're written more to be read than to be played. Because once again, if you're playing a game and the stakes of the game is whether the world survives or not, you're going to lose. Even the best teams lose, even the best individuals lose. And so it becomes harder to believe. And that's part of the problem. But it all comes back to we simply refuse to be awed because we've seen so much that is supposed to be awesome, and people waste the word awesome when they just mean good. Um, it causes a lot of problems, and it causes a lot of problems for game designers. I think I'll leave it at that. Thanks for listening.